Zach, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You weren't really expecting a majority this big, surely? 4,500?
I thought it might happen, and I'll tell you why. Hannah is an incredible candidate. The Labour government are completely collapsing, and the Green Party is getting more and more popular. We're about to hit 200,000 members. And so I think all the conditions were there for this to make sense. It would also be truthful to say there were moments where I thought it's neck and neck, it's really, really close, and you fight for every single vote. But I think Hannah put it best, actually, when I interviewed her on my podcast. She started to say, I can't believe all of these people keep coming out for us. And then she paused and she went, but you know what? Actually, I can believe it. We're offering an alternative that's rooted in a reality that's speaking to people to say, everything's a bit crap at the moment. It doesn't have to be this way. We're a party that hasn't taken money from vested interests. There is an alternative. Come and get on board. And then it's not a surprise that people vote for that.
What was it like at the crunch time, squeaky bum time?
More apprehensive, but I think that wasn't based on any evidence or data. It was just realizing the magnitude of this moment. Like, I think this has the possibility to transform the face of British politics. And I don't mean that as hyperbole. I just think if we think of the other scenarios, had Labour kept the seat, then that would have maintained the two-party system quite clearly. If Reform had won the seat, I think we were going to carry on the spiral that we're already in. I think this has definitely set up the next election and future elections as a Reform Party versus the Green Party. And what the Green Party have now demonstrated is a vote for Green can stop Reform and stop Labour and offer an alternative. And that's incredibly exciting for British politics.
Is this the most seismic by-election result of the last 40 years? I mean, people love to be hyperbolic in political journalism. You know that more than anyone. But for it to be a Green Reform 1-2 and for you to win so big, I cannot think of any analogue, certainly in my lifetime.
I think that's true. I'm putting the slight caveat in that where, I've not slept yet. I'm in the joy of the moment, and it feels like nothing's ever been more important of all time. But I think the case you present is totally fair enough. And I think the amount of kind of, Keir Starmer used my line yesterday, I think, which is on day one, I said this is a battle for the soul of the nation. So you've got the UK Prime Minister agreeing it's a battle for the soul of the nation. You've got Nigel Farage throwing everything he's got at this election. You've got a genuine three-way race. And it's in this moment where we only had the Labour government 18 months ago and they just lost one of their safest seats in the country. I think that's seismic. I think for the Green Party, this was our 127th target seat. I don't think that can be said enough times. That now means there's 126 other seats we need to be looking at. Now, I totally accept the caveat that a by-election is different to a general election. But I also think it's completely scrapped that wasted vote thing. It's not a wasted vote. If you vote for the Greens because you want the Greens, you get a Green MP. I think the most important thing, too, which could easily be missed, is just quite how phenomenal Hannah Spencer is. When she is in the House of Commons and she's holding the Prime Minister to account, or just generally speaking, it's going to be amazing. If I can share a very quick story.
Please.
Walked into the count this evening, a media scrum, I've had some media scrums since I've become leader of the Green Party, but I think from what I got from the press, they're not used to this level of media scrum. It was an above Nigel Farage Reform media scrum. It was crazy. So we scrum around them, just chatting to Hannah, and we're just chatting quietly because everyone's hovering over us. And in all of that pressure, she sees one female photographer and she smiles at her. And I go, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm just smiling at my sister because she's dealing with all these men who are pushing her around. And just the poise, the solidarity in that moment, the calmness in what I can only imagine, the million thoughts that were racing ahead in that moment. Her one thing to do was show solidarity to another woman who was struggling in that moment, give her a smile and give her a support. And that's partly why she's going to be a phenomenal MP.
How big a deal will it be when she's in the comments? You've said that she's obviously a great candidate, and she is. There was a ton of negative...
Great MP now.
Well, yeah, great MP now. There was a ton of negative campaigning used. It obviously didn't make much of a difference, presumably because she is such a good candidate. People just see her and listen to her for 30 seconds, and it washes most of that away. But it does feel like, as a political brand, and I don't like to use those words, but that's just the world we live in, she's going to be something really different in terms of what people see in national politics. Working class woman, plumber, blue collar profession, doesn't have a Southern English accent, didn't go to university, very forthright, saying things you don't often hear about billionaires and inequality. That's a big deal, isn't it? She could really help you shake things up.
Yeah, I think it's huge, and I think she's shaking things up already. And pretty sure you'll agree with it, even though you've asked me the question. Things need shaking up, they badly need shaking up. So I see it only as a positive thing. I'm curious how quickly legacy media will try and paint her as, I don't know, incompetent or stupid, or they've already picked on her clothes and the way she has her hair. And I think we're going to see more than that we've ever seen before. But what I also think is interesting is so many people know Labour invented a tactical vote company 2 nights ago on the eve of poll and put it out. And then today there was a Labour van going around the constituency with a picture of me and Hannah on it, saying we wanted to legalise prostitution for their daughters and lots of nonsense about drugs. And it doesn't seem to have made a bit of difference. And I just wonder if we're in a different political moment now where social media, community groups mean you can cut through in different ways. I don't want to be naive. I'm sure attack lines will still come back round, but we feel like we're in a fundamentally different era. And then there's a kind of final thing, which I hesitated to say because it's petty, but I think it is important to say. So Angelica, who was the Labour candidate, the other day we were in a park, a community cafe, and we were about to go there. And we saw she was in the park. So we paused and waited, just out of respect. We thought rather than bring all of our camera crews to Angelica, we'll let her do a bit and then leave. She left. We walk into the park. We're there for about 25 minutes, half an hour. Then Angelica comes back and introduces herself to me. And she's very polite. I'm very polite back because I'm generally quite amenable, but I'm a bit like, this is weird because I know she was here earlier on. And then we leave. The Labour Party put out an attack ad saying they've arrived and we've run away from them, including who I've now had it confirmed from Associated Press was her comms person saying, oh, isn't it awful that the Green... Anyway, just so fundamentally dishonest. And I think this is a different level of dishonesty now, because I think politicians spin things, they can mislead, they can present things, I can present things in a way that's positive for the Green Party, hands up to that. I think that's part of politics. But an outright lie and the creation of a situation and a context in order to mislead the voters, I think is a pretty dystopian kind of route that the Labour government are going down. And although that's, a petty example, I just thought it was really telling. And actually, politicians say they're really disappointed in other politicians. Sometimes I roll my eyes because I'm like, you're being really earnest. But I did find it disappointing because you've been so nice and polite. And I thought that entire time you were being polite, you know exactly what you were doing. You created a false attack video. And that's what the Labour Party are now. And I think that's partly why they're losing.
Could you be the Prime Minister after the next general election? That's a question people are going to increasingly ask you the more successful you and your party become. Could you become the Prime Minister? And alongside that, is Keir Starmer now contributing to toxicity in politics in this country as much as Nigel Farage?
So I'll go reverse. I think he is as much as Nigel Farage. I think there's an argument to be made that it's even worse than Farage, because Nigel Farage is pretty clear most of the time what he stands for. I mean, there's some flip-flopping, but I think the kind of values and the way he presents himself, he's honest to his own brand. Keir Starmer has been painting himself as a progressive, as on the left, ran on the coattails of Jeremy Corbyn. He had all of those pledges. He broke every one of those pledges. He tried to get by with echoing Enoch Powell. As soon as it went wrong, he quickly backtracked. On Gaza, we know what's happened on Gaza now for the genocide for years. And so I think we're dealing with a fundamentally dishonest politician that doesn't really stand for anything other than his own political power and is in freefall. And all of that would be almost entertaining to watch if he wasn't the Prime Minister of the country and doesn't drag it all down with us. In terms of a question about Prime Minister, I never wanted Jo Swinson this. For those who don't know, she said she was going to be Prime Minister and then promptly lost her own seat. It's also genuinely not my burning ambition to be Prime Minister. I want to see a Green government, and actually who the Prime Minister of that government is almost immaterial to me in terms of I just want to make sure that the things get done. I think it's unlikely at the next general election. We'll see if there's more by-elections anytime soon. If we keep winning swings like that, then the conversation does change. But at the moment, my focus really is on winning lots and lots of MPs. I think the follow-up question, and I'm interviewing myself now, is I've been saying we want to win 50 MPs, but we just won our 127th target seat. Yeah. So there's clearly a number between 50 and 127 that we've got to go and work out and go, if this wasn't a by-election, how many of these are winnable? But I think my biggest takeaway from tonight and this whole campaign is there's now no-go areas for the Greens. Anywhere we go and we organise and we campaign, I genuinely believe we can win, be that urban or rural. And I don't think there's ever been a left-wing party in this country that's able to say that. And so I think that's a monumental moment for the party, and also it's a monumental moment for people to join the Green Party, because my hope, shouldn't predict things, but I think we're about to grow a lot faster.
Zack, congratulations again.
Thank you very much.